welcome to Who Put This On, Season 3, Episode 25, where we watch The Ultimate Fighter, Season 19, Episode 1 and 2. I'm Chris Lorenz.
I'm Harrison Hoffman.
Noah Singer.
This is James.
Connor Max Gregor.
Come on, get it on.
Come on, get it on.
Come in, get it
Oh
in.
man,
This is
Ooh.
probably the most intense reality show we've ever watched.
I'm not sure it's a reality show, but
It's definitely a reality show.
It's about as real as it gets, I think.
it's pretty fucking real. It's not, okay. Moving on.
Physical
I don't know how
reality.
it gets realer.
All right.
Mhm.
So you're-
Harrison,
It's the show that launched the mixed martial arts explosion in 2005, and The Ultimate Fighter continues to produce the next generation of UFC stars with an intense elimination tournament that separates the contenders from the pretenders. It's The Ultimate Fighter.
how does it say it continues to do so when it hasn't aired since 2014?
I think that description was probably written in 2014.
I understand. I get it. It's just like this no longer exists.
so this
so
show's done.
Did this show go down when Spike TV went down? Like, was it kind of part of that situation?
Nobody knows.
We got nothing
Like,
on that
none
one.
of us
Yeah,
are going to
no.
know that.
I don't know, man. That's
Well,
about.
I didn't hear the question because I got distracted by Noah flipping through Hulu on the screen for some reason.
I wanted to kind of get a preview of the season, and we see Chuck Liddell comes in, so we got some insight.
Getting Chuck Liddell in the mix.
Yeah, CL.
We
got our own
no more,
CL.
No more distractions for Noah.
Okay.
He's cut off.
Only his phone. All right.
I don't even got my hand on my
All right.
phone.
This show is just a giant UFC tournament, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
very accurate, actually. I think.
Yeah.
Like, the first episode, which was 2 hours long, we only watched the first 20 minutes or so, was just 15 fights. Winners got to the next round, and now, then they get into this house, they get some training, and we saw one fight in one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an extremely light reality show veneer over just a giant UFC tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reality showness of this is very light.
Yeah. I mean, it is not as though it's like they're competing in a bunch of like UFC type challenges. It's like, okay, run this obstacle course, see how many times you can punch this punching bag in 5 minutes. Like, they're not doing challenges like that. It is straight up like head to head actual like UFC fights.
It is interesting though. They don't portray it like a bracket.
No.
Because they easily could, right? And you see like them going through and get next round. Like they try to keep it more ambiguous.
I
Well,
would.
the dudes pick the fights. That's the reality show gimmick of it, right? Like if you want to draw it back to that,
who picks the fights?
the
Because it
captains
is okay.
or the coaches rather,
Right.
Coaches pick
right.
the fights.
which is an important element of the show. There's two coaches, red versus blue. Each coach gets a team.
Team Penn
Eight
and
people.
what was the
Yeah.
other team?
So it's
Edgar.
BJ Penn is the coach this
Yeah.
year, and Frankie Edgar.
Yeah.
Right, Team Edgar.
Basically, two former UFC fighters, and they kind of each coach their own team of 8 potential fighters, and they bring their own training staff to kind of train them up or whatever.
Yeah, and we see bits of the training, but it seems to be the most of the show is just the backstory of these people and like how they got there and how pissed or not pissed they are to be in the ring, and like that's like 90. It's like 50% of the show, and the other
Oh, yeah.
50% is just the fight.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's a fight. It's like UFC every week.
It's like
when
what
the show's on.
It's like watching the pregame for the fight of like the training montage and the interviews and everything, and then
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
just a fight.
it's pretty much just like your
The
pay-per-view
8 months,
event,
yeah,
but like in 40-minute chunks.
They've
exactly.
Yep.
they have basically wrapped below UFC level fighting in this kind of reality show wrapper.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we get to the minutia of episode 1. I'm not sure how much minutia talk we have.
I have a couple
But,
things.
like,
Yeah.
The first fight we see is interesting.
Go ahead, Max. I mean,
Minutia
like,
Max Gregor.
All right. You got two people. One guy, his name is Hector. We were told multiple times that he grew up in Mexico until he was 7,
And then moved to Ohio.
and then he moved to Ohio, and then he got into MMA, and that's his life story.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
you got
that's accurate.
Hector versus Guy Anyway, Hector and Guy go into a fight.
Guy.
Guy.
This is how memorable he is and how much time he has on the show. He gets hit once and he is down. He hits the floor like nobody's business.
That guy went down hard.
Big
Yeah.
dude fell really hard on his face, just straight down.
That
done.
wasn't Hector. Hector did the armbar. You're thinking of
No,
Oh,
dude.
you're right. You're right.
No.
No.
The first fight, it was a knockout. Hector did an armbar to get his guy out.
No.
No,
you're
confusing characters.
No, it's wrong.
The armbar was the fighting preacher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Armbar was Preacher.
Yeah, no, you're right. Armbar was pretty sure. But the first fight
We'll
was
get to that. We'll get
no,
to that.
Hector definitely did not knock out the first guy.
Noah-
the guy
That-
with the beard?
That was the whole thing with Hector is that he
The beard
fucking
was
gave
the-
him that
The
right.
fight we just watched. That
No,
was the
no,
first
no,
fight.
no.
Noah is thinking of Spawn, and I think he might be right.
I know I'm right because Hector didn't knock the guy out in the first fight.
Are we sure about this?
God damn it.
Do we have to go to the tape?
roll the fucking tape.
Yeah.
It doesn't
We
matter.
just watched so much of the show.
No, okay. I'm moving on. The first fight, one guy knocks another guy out in one punch, and we're like, "Holy shit! This is the intro to this fucking show."
Oh yeah, welcome
Yeah.
to the UFC. Dude just falls down like a
And,
sack of
and
bricks.
the other guy's off the show.
yeah, and they're like, "Go home."
Do you think that they sliced up and reordered the fights like however they wanted? Do you think that they put that one first because it's like, oh shit?
They
Probably.
made some comment that like, "Oh, you're picking him for your first guy."
All right. Just to go back, the first two fighters
Yeah.
was the one guy with the beard that like got out in the NFL
Oh, the guy with the
mom,
beard.
and then the guy with the 4 kids. They
Four kids.
fought first.
I don't remember how many any of these kids. But
But like I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
it was
okay.
like
Yeah,
and then,
I'm not saying Hector was first, but I know Hector definitely knocked that dude out.
That's not what Noah's saying.
So
it doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah.
we are terrible. at-
Just saying that was the first
Sports.
fight. Sports. Max, you go.
What?
Yeah, that's
No,
what happens
more
when I don't
minutia.
take
So
any
that's the
notes.
first thing of the show, though. Like the very first like fight, it's
Yeah.
like, all right, UFC Ultimate Fighter. These two dudes are gonna fight, and dude just goes down hard, gets hauled out of there in an ambulance and straight to the hospital. And we're like, holy shit, this show is very nuts.
very real.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna pull the reality back. So like, watch this first episode, and it's a straight up UFC fights. And I was like,
15,
okay,
yep.
we get 20 minutes in, we're like, okay, there's no content here. We got to back it out. See what the actual show's gonna be like. It's pretty much just straight up UFC fight with like, some backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and and the only other interesting thing of episode 1 is we watched the last like 5 or 6 minutes where they essentially pick their teams. Each coach picks their team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about
really-
the only other meat in that one. Aside from the like
Yeah,
the
I mean,
actual
like
fights, but-
watching the fights was definitely engaging. Like I was
Yeah.
engaged, but I don't know, like I watched like a couple of them, and like afterwards, I'm just like, okay, yeah.
I mean,
As soon as we get to like the second episode we were watching that last fight for 15 minutes. I'm like, I can't. Like I was definitely getting a little fatigued of UFC at this point.
yeah.
we
for-
just
for
watched
this-
a lot of fights.
Yeah, for this purposes, there's not that much to talk about because the backstories are light, right? So there's not much character development, and so it's hard to talk here. And Hector, the guy he punched out, it was the guy with the tattoos and the girlfriend.
I have no idea what anybody's backstory is.
Because there's no bad, but that was his story. He came
Yeah.
out.
This is how memorable people are.
right. They're very. He had the skull tattoo on his chest and the girlfriend. In the
Okay,
crowd.
okay, yeah.
That's who he punched.
Oh,
out.
wasn't it his mom or something?
His mom and the girlfriend.
Okay.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess
His
the
mom
thing
is his girlfriend. That's fucked.
that is, oh no,
Twist.
like I guess the only other thing I really have to say about the first episode is that it is interesting. Sorry, it is. There are a lot of people who this is like their shot, and like this whole fighting thing is like their livelihood and like what they've like dedicated like their lives to. And like you can see like some of the people losing in the first round are like totally crushed because they basically have like 5 minutes, to show that like they're actually like a good fighter, and you
then
know,
it's over
and
in
if
an
not, then
instant.
like your career's basically over. Like, or I mean,
Yeah.
at least close to it. It seems
At
like.
least your shot at getting like into the UFC, which I guess the other important thing, right, is like if you win this thing, you get a UFC contract and you go fight in like
Yeah.
the actual dudes in the UFC.
and like if you're the winner, you get an automatic contract. But I bet that if you make it farther into this thing and they see you fight a bunch, like they might still be like, okay, like you should get in the UFC.
Yeah,
you just don't
definitely
get
helps.
like as big of a contract.
It's
as
just
you would,
it's just like a big
probably.
extended tryout.
Oh,
basically.
for
Right.
sure.
And you get so like not only that, but you get the training paid for. You get next level training. I'm
Yeah.
sure these people aren't getting like amazing training when you're not in the UFC.
Totally.
So like
It's got to be good for their brand, right? Like as a fighter, like you're looking for a team of like support people and like, all that stuff. So like if you're getting exposure on the Ultimate Fighter, you're like, all right, you know,
Yeah.
like your rank's kind of improving.
It's like you compare this to something like Top Chef, and you're like, okay, but like that is something that all these people have dedicated their lives to, and they're getting like a shot. But it doesn't feel like it's the only shot if you're in like that kind of like
Right.
there are other ways to be successful. Like if you're like a mixed martial arts fighter, like this is the path, like this is the thing, and it feels like if you can't make it up this, then you're just done. Like you're walking away.
Yes and no. Like, generally agree with you. It's almost like McDonald's is the only restaurant in town, and you're like auditioning to be a chef at McDonald's, right? The only thing is with this is, I'd imagine there's communities that are pretty similar, right? So let's say you're on Ultimate Fighter, and then it's like, oh, but there was the like pro boxing, then there's pro wrestling. I don't mean like WWE, but like maybe
I don't-
real
Sure.
wrestling.
Oh,
I
I
don't
see what you
think
mean.
that's
Like maybe
true.
not like if you're okay with not just being an MMA, maybe you want to be boxing or something. Sure, I don't. But like I do wonder. Like these guys are like
It's all
pretty
it's,
hardcore into MMA. I think.
It's also just kind of where like the money is, I guess, right now too in fighting. I mean, like yeah, like you have some of these Mayweather like gigantic money fights, but like there aren't that many like big name boxing matches. Like UFC is like where people can actually make money right now. I feel like I don't know.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean, like you know, professional wrestling, not WWE, like actual
Sure.
wrestling. Like
No,
I
they don't
can't.
make-
There's no money in
No.
that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
No.
Like
I don't know. Like I mean, like are the like big names like are they
Name
doing it? Are they?
one.
I mean, like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Like,
But he was
turned into a
WWE.
no.
movie star.
He's WWE. He's not a wrestler. He
He's-
is a.
yeah.
Oh, you're talking
He-
about that. Oh, sorry, I heard professional
Yeah.
wrestling.
That's
which
why I
is-
said professional wrestling, not the WWE.
Yeah, like the only thing it's a credential. Like, let's say you want to go train like the U.S. wrestling team. Like, I'm assuming, or like University of Ohio, right? Ohio State wrestling team. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you have like a credential. To
Yeah.
be like, okay, this person may be more qualified, right? And those are probably like decent jobs,
Probably
right?
decent, but it's like you're not making big money. You're not making like any sort of major league kind of sport kind of money.
No, but like. It definitely would help you to be like
Yeah.
a college wrestling coach, right? Like, oh yeah,
Sure,
I was
yeah.
doing this
I was
thing.
on Ultimate Fighter and got my ass beat for 2 minutes.
But like, yeah,
Oh,
know?
you were the dude that got knocked out in 2 seconds.
Max McGregor.
Yo,
You want to say something?
no, I forgot what I wanted to say.
I don't know. I still feel like the UFC is the NFL. If you're not in the NFL, you're nowhere.
Yeah, if you're in the CFL, big whoop.
Is there a CMMA?
There are, I mean, there are
definitely.
I'm
There's
sure there's
definitely-
like some like smaller.
there are smaller MMA leagues, there are international MMA leagues. I'm sure. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like the Irish dude was talking about how it was hard for him in Ireland because that's not really built up there. Like implying that it is built up like in other places, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
We should go start it.
I think it's been started, man. You're like
I'm not trying to go in business against Dana White.
this reality show is 19th season.
Well, it's done now.
It's done
we,
now.
We got to produce a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a good point of like just like seeing these people and their dreams almost just shatter in that like octagon.
Yeah.
Ender skulls.
Feels
mean-
so good.
they're-
Wait, what?
It's like when they so in episode 1, episode 2, they first go into the house and some of them are so happy because they have this chance now. They have the chance to come in, get some next level training, get some publicity, and it's like you can see it. Whereas like a lot of other reality shows, it's like that's step 1 and not like
Yeah, you didn't really have to like
There's
earn,
no, like-
earn that spot through like whooping some other dude's ass to get in the house.
yeah. I mean, we saw it a little bit last week in Survivor where like almost everyone in that show was like super happy to be on that show, and it was like some of their like dreams. And this, you see the same thing in this where like these people walk into this house and like this is amazing, even though it's just some shitty house where you get to bunk with 5 other dudes.
Oh,
and
no,
with like a
yeah.
shitty ass pool, and like you just train it all the time. So it's not like there isn't a whole lot to be really happy about other than like this is their dream. Like this doesn't sound like a dream for me.
It's your big break, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like similar to like Survivor, like these people have been watching the show, like the whole thing of the show, and so like they've seen like what it is, and like the dudes that have come out of it and gone on to be superstars and millionaires, like they know that like now they're in that house, they have a shot, and I think you're right, like it's similar in that way.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
but,
I
like,
guess unlike Survivor though,
they've
it's not that their careers are over if they don't.
yeah,
make
like they've
it.
focused the rest of their life around like being successful on this reality show, basically,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is like
Right.
fucking crazy.
So, some would argue that the challenge is somewhat similar, although, man, after watching this show, it really makes you wonder. And I do have a question for Chris on that one, which is I feel like one of the gripes that you tend to have from the challenge is that there's too much drama,
Too much
and not
house
enough
drama.
challenge. And so the question really is, I think this goes pretty extreme in the other direction of like
Yep.
it's pretty much all challenge and pretty minimal drama.
So like first episode was just too much. I just for me personally, UFC is interesting for like a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
And we hit a limit. Like once we hit round 2 in episode 2, I was kind of done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because they were looking fatigued. It just didn't seem all that exciting. We can get to, but like, I like would have appreciated a little more drama. Just like, why are all they living in this house if you're not going to have any drama, or just like, you know, have more of the training. I don't know what it looks like when like somebody just gets flat out knocked out in the end of the episode, so they have a lot more time to like go over what happens. I just don't know what like there isn't a whole lot of detail what happened in this house or anything that really happens before this fight. There's not a lot of showing like this is what we're gonna do to train you for this specific dude, mainly because they like some of them. One person you didn't know how they fought, but the other person you never really saw, and like that would have been really interesting just to be like more of the mechanics of UFC. And it was just like kind of just montages of like training.
Yeah, on the more technical reality shows, I think it's always interesting when they go into like how they prepared to do that job.
Yeah.
Right? And,
I would
like,
have
which have been
definitely
interesting.
appreciated more of like, oh, we're training this right now because you need this. And it was none of that. It was just like,
Right.
we're doing this crazy ass training drill. Look how crazy it is.
Yeah. Like it would definitely be
Ooh,
interesting if they like went through here's how you do a suplex or here's how like you take someone down, right? Like okay, that's kind
Or
of cool.
it's just been like, you know, go talk to this dude and like, okay, in your fight, look like you're a little weak in jujitsu. We're giving you the jujitsu trainer. He's going to show you some of these core moves. Like there was a little bit of that, but nothing like
I'm
anything explicit.
Like I'm hoping that the show kind of goes there as it gets a little bit deeper in the season, as some of these fighters' skills kind of become a little more known, styles become a little more known. But I don't know.
I wonder if that is though. Like if they're having one fight an episode,
Yeah,
right? You don't get an opportunity to see fighters multiple times until like the last few shows.
I guess that's
right?
true. But you do. I mean, you get to see him training, I guess. But yeah, you don't get to see him actually fighting.
yeah. So there's eight people or 16 people in this house, right?
Yep, 8 per weight class.
So that's 8 fights. Then you get 4 fights, and then the rest of that is on. Then they'll go and like be on UFC like actual.
It is.
Do
It
they
is.
get kicked off? Like, so a quick question: does the loser get kicked off the show once they're in the house, or is it like their
think
house
so.
record
I
is
think-
0-1?
Oh, that's a good question.
I
I
think
actually
they're
wasn't
just
super
out.
clear on that.
I think that. Yeah, I mean, because they definitely didn't show that guy going home at the end of that episode, but they definitely showed him losing the fight.
Yeah, I actually think it's 4 people per weight class. It's not just 1-on-1. So it's probably like a round robin.
Huh.
I don't think so, unless they start speeding this thing up.
No,
way.
remember
Yeah,
when they were doing
no,
like
that was
the,
right, yeah.
the kickball picking at the end of the first season
Yeah.
episode? They're like, okay, we're down. I think it was like 185 or 165, and they were
Yeah.
all in that weight class.
Yeah, it's 4-4
Yeah,
per
Yeah.
team. There's
Yeah.
8 total, so there's 4 fights that have to happen.
No,
Yeah,
no, there's
so-
8
Well,
fights that need to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
sure.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, so if it's 8 fights, that's 8 episodes,
And you
and then you're
cut
down.
the field in half. Yeah.
Yeah, then you're down to
You have
just
to
8
whittle
people.
it down. Yeah.
So then you're down to four fights.
Well, that's what I was questioning. Of like, are they actually kicking people off, or do you get a chance to fight again?
I don't think so.
And
You
they get a
have to
chance
be
to fight
kicking people
again.
off, or else the season's going to take way too long, right? I mean, like unless I mean, like
It might
unless it's
just
like
not
it's like
matter.
a
It might just
20
be a vote.
episode. It could be like a
Right.
20 something episode season, I guess. Like
it is.
was.
It is a 20 episodes. It's something like that.
then they're definitely doing. Then they're definitely not going home after one
yeah,
fight,
I don't think they
right?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was episode at least 19. I
are.
want to say 20, but I think it was 19.
something crazy.
Maybe not. I don't know. I assumed
Maybe.
you'd get kicked off.
Me
But
too.
maybe not. Maybe getting. That's why people are so happy to be in the house because they know they'll be around to get training for a while,
Or
regardless if they
yeah.
win or lose.
or they do like big cliffs, right? Because the shows usually are like incremental, like it's like one person. Maybe this is just like drop off, right? It's like
Maybe there's a cut.
yeah,
some kind of Royal Rumble fight. We get like 10 dudes in the octagon.
man. Ooh
Yeah,
boy.
I don't know. So I mean, I guess that's kind of we kind of dove right in the episode 2, which is really I think that's really the meat of it, right? Like it's
That's
essentially
That's
I kind
it.
of break it down into like 3 parts. There's like the first one, backstory on the Irish guy. Then there's the backstory on the Hector, the Mexican guy. Then they fight a full-on actual fight, 3
Insane.
round, 5 minutes each. Hector looks like he wins the first round pretty clear, and then Irish dude clearly kind of dominates the second 2 rounds, and just kind of winner by decision.
Yep.
And then it's kind of like, all right. And then next time, so then like the coach gets to pick. I think the winning coach gets to pick the next fight.
That was a little
And
bit
then, like, all right,
unclear
next time.
because the same coach announced that the second fight is picked the first fight.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I didn't
Mm.
like, and so I guess if it's winner,
Did
then
his guy win?
Then yeah, but
Oh.
I don't know.
That's why I said picked winner.
guess,
it could have been
yeah.
the other person.
I
who, like,
guess.
I feel like the loser should be the one picking.
I
just,
agree.
it should just alternate. Just go between.
No,
them.
no. Loser should go like.
Gotta have a
The
benefit.
losing team should try to get the advantage for losing the first team.
Wait, why does the loser get the advantage? They lost.
Yeah, because they lost.
Yeah, sucks to lose.
Sucks to suck.
I don't think the UFC is much for giving losers much.
I'm just trying to make a fair competition, James.
So
Yeah, that's
one
what I mean.
interesting thing I found about the show, going back to episode 1, is they use the James rating scale.
Oh yeah.
I did not see that one coming. That was very impressive to see. They called it the light heavyweight.
Yeah, so there's 2 weights in this one, right? There's middleweight, I think, and
Yeah.
then light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight, yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
It's the sub tiers within the tier.
It's wild.
It's the bottom of the top.
Right, you got to break it down.
Bottom of the top.
So good.
I want to talk about the photo op.
Oh yes, please.
Which
Max.
one?
Please go.
There's one that really stands out in my mind, which is that guy versus the other guy.
Very descriptive. Hector,
Yeah.
an Irish guy.
So okay,
Both
yeah,
of them were of those 2 people.
Yeah. So you know how if you see a poster for a big fight or whatever, it sort of shows like 2 people that kind of look like they're photoshopped together, like staring at each other. They do this in real life, and they do this on the show, and there's no camera besides the video camera, so it's just these 2 guys like forehead to forehead, just staring the bejesus out of each other.
Immediately following the weigh-in. Yeah, just shirtless and
It's
basically in their
so
underwear,
good.
just touching nose to nose in a stare down at death.
And they're going for like 45 seconds or more.
It seemed like it was a long
we
time.
don't really know how long.
It felt like a very uncomfortable amount of time.
Harrison brought up a interesting question, which is, what if you just like stuck your tongue out real quick?
Man, I think that's how you get some brawls.
What's the other guy?
I think
gonna
that's how
do?
you play some mind games with that dude.
It's definitely starting to brawl for sure.
I mean, that whole stare down is definitely just a whole mind game, like pre-set
Yeah.
up, right? Like that's all
So-
that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like
That's
who's gonna
wild.
back down, like
I
whatever.
mean, that's what movies tell me.
right.
I don't really know what it's like in real life.
I've never stared somebody down like that before.
Oh man.
I have no idea what it would be like to be in that kind
So
of a stare.
You're telling me you've never been in a stare down, just face to face, touching the other
Nose
dude.
to nose.
Just no one refuses
No.
to leave.
It's,
yeah.
it's never happened to me.
No, that's true. I don't. Has that happened to anybody?
Mm,
I mean, I've stared people down.
What's the most intense stare down you've had, Chris?
I don't know.
Like, did you get in like a bus stare down or something?
I like play the staring contest with people. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
do they know they're playing?
No.
What do you think like the best move is to like psych the other dude out in a stare contest?
You show them your
y-
third eye.
You gotta show them your dong. It's definitely the best.
So you're telling me they're just pulling the Chris move?
Yeah,
Just pulling.
not me, Chris. Chris Hayes move.
Oh man, just calling them out.
Naming names.
Name dropping.
Man.
Come at me, bro.
Man,
If you listen to this
that's a
pod,
bold move.
If you listen to this pod, okay. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, this is like the most intense, but like the least to talk about
Very
show
much
I think
so.
we've watched.
Yeah.
It's wild.
They're just like, yeah, I literally have nothing else to say.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that there was only one episode of build up on this, but like even with like the backstory of the two people, like, I think it was a pretty effective build up to the fight, to the point where like by the time the thing had happened, you were like pumped to see these guys go at it. Kind of, you're like,
Yeah.
and I guess that like I'm kind of hopeful for like the future of the show, because as the characters sort of develop more, as some rivalries hopefully develop inside the house, and they put
Oh,
some of those
man.
people against each other,
Sure.
like that could be some
Harrison
pretty nuts stuff.
definitely loving the house drama.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
If they get
think
to
about
it, it could
think
be
about
great.
like that challenge level house drama, and think about how those guys are just like, I gotta get into a physical elimination versus somebody, and like this is the only option. Like you're
the
fighting,
only option is the octagon.
you're fighting until somebody's
No.
unconscious.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see that happening in the challenge that much anymore. This season for sure has not happened.
Like like where people are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but sure.
Yeah.
I mean, these people have to be slightly insane.
The UFC people?
Fighting
all
is a
these
rough breed,
these
man.
fighters, like they have to
Yeah.
be like spend years training, just get so big, just like all the skills you need to do this are just like so insane.
Yeah.
The level of dedication, is on a whole different level.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just
And I guess that's kind of the vibe you get. Like so in the first episode, they're kind of giving everybody that fights like a quick backstory, and they're all coming from like pretty rough upbringings or like pretty difficult situations. Like people kind of had to fight their way out, so to speak.
I mean,
Well, I'd
some
say
of
it
the
doesn't seem-
some of the stories, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying all of them, but like it seems like you got to have something that's like, you got to get in that ring and like do that thing.
Yeah, I don't know, like just
Like,
like
what would it take to
like you got to
you
know
what I mean, get you in there? Like
you
that's
got to know
rough.
boxing, jujitsu, wrestling, like you got to know all of like those are the minimum 3 things you got to know. That's not even like all the other kind of stuff that should set you apart from everyone else.
And you got to know how to take the shit beaten out of you, which is like a skill of
that's
itself.
absolutely
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
they're, like these guys, like the way I think about it, like they're near their top of their sport, right? Which I'd say is impressive, but not necessarily unique. Of like, there's a lot of people in quotes, right, that are very athletic. I think what differentiates these guys that they can get their ass kicked, which
I
is like
mean-
not common for athletes.
So like the last fight that we watched, there was like the first round, the one dude like was punching him and he was looking like he was gonna go down, and then like the other dude just like powered through.
Yeah.
And that was really impressive because I don't watch a lot of UFC, so I don't know how often that actually happens. We've seen it happen twice, so like I guess it happens, but like it does take patience and practice to be able to take a
Yeah.
punch.
I mean, I think the biggest thing you notice is the difference in like tiers or quality of these fighters is that like the longer they can really go. So like I feel like when you start to see like this level, like the first round you saw like the high energy, then rounds 2 and 3 is like not really. These guys are getting just exhausted.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're watching UFC, it's like they're going the distance on 3 rounds, like pretty stable. It's pretty stable. But then like you get to that championship match and like it's going 5 full rounds, and so like it just keeps ramping up. And like you're literally fighting like the top fighters in the world, right? Like it's just next level each step of the way. I don't know. It's just kind of mind blowing to me that like just keeps ramping up. And that's kind of the differentiators, I think, right? Is it's like how many people can like take a punch firstly, how many people can, actually survive one whole round, and then how many can get through 3 and then maybe 5, right?
That's the difference between a fighter and an ultimate fighter.
Oh, I guess so. I guess so.
I mean, yeah, as I talked about it briefly, but you alluded to like the second and third round of this match was just like not exciting.
I mean, they were dramatic, but not exciting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
There's
like,
just a lot of grappling. Like I feel like the grappling aspects is just kind of like not exciting.
yeah. I mean, I think that like the the idea that you can basically do whatever you want to beat the other person into submission. I mean, that's kind of like the core of the sport, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
crazy, like,
when you're
yeah.
talking like one-on-one combat, no
Yeah.
weapons. Like grappling is certainly something that you would do.
It's like no weapons and basically no rules. Like it seems that there are not
Kick
a lot
the
of
other
rules.
dude in the head if you want.
Yeah, like we were speculating at the beginning of this that you were not allowed to hit somebody in the back of the head, but I think that was disproven by watching this because people were wailing on the back of people's heads.
I'm sure there's some rules, like eye gouging. I'm sure.
Yeah,
is
like
not
I think like you can't intentionally hit him directly in the crotch. Probably you can't pull hair, gouge eyes, like some of that stuff maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like pulling hair would be okay.
No,
May-
I don't think you can like. Well, a lot of the dudes either have shaved heads or like hairs were up. I do
Yeah,
recall
that's-
like
That's why
one
I
of the
think
guys
it's
that I liked
okay.
kind of like years ago was Uriah Faber, who had like really long hair, but he would consistently for fights get it in dreads, and so like they couldn't pull it and stuff.
Yeah.
But if the dreads came out, then like I think it was almost kind of fair game to like do whatever on
So
it.
I don't have the full list, but the Google Smart Card in Noah's Internet Corner
nice feature name drop.
UFC rules is no butting with the head, eye gouging of any kind, biting, spitting at an opponent, hair pulling, fish hooking, don't know what that is, groin attacks of any kind. And then it says more, but the page they link to no longer exists, so I don't know what the more is.
There's no more.
I can't believe you can't
If
headbutt.
there like any more rules, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm pretty surprised you can't headbutt. Actually, like that seems like it, like if I can take my knee to someone's head, like I should be able to put my head to someone's head, right? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, because like at
Maybe it
least
just
then
doesn't
you
make-
are
I don't know what
conscious
they're
of
trying to
how
prevent.
hard you're hitting the guy. Because if you're bashing someone's head into your knee, you're hitting as hard as
Yeah.
you possibly can into your
Right.
knee.
Like, you think they were trying to like reduce concussions one year or something? Like, we're gonna put this new rule.
There is
I'm
no
like
pr-
it's the ultimate fighting.
There is no part of
championship.
this sport that is about reducing concussions. This sport is about giving someone a concussion.
Oh, it's literally about knocking the other person out.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Oh, there's actually a decent amount of things that are not.
All those seem
Allowed.
very reasonable.
Should know they do.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's no clawing, pinching, or twisting of the flesh.
How about magic?
Not disallowed. I don't know.
No
This,
Avada Kedavra.
so let's see what fish hooking. Oh, interesting. So you can't take
Yeah.
both your hands and put on the side of someone's mouth. Yeah.
Oh my god!
pull the
But you
mouth
can
in.
do one hand.
No,
you just can't. You
fish
can't both
hooking
hand
is
it.
It's either.
with
It's
one
either.
hand.
It's one.
Okay.
It's one or both hands.
Yeah.
Can you imagine someone getting you that move? Oh my god!
That's crazy.
I mean, it's also real risky because I imagine like if it starts going south,
Oh,
like the
man,
other dude just bites
bite,
down.
Yeah,
and
you're just
fingers
biting
are
off
coming
fingers
out.
at that point.
Can you
Oh,
like
man.
stick your fingers up somebody's nose?
No, they actually. Yeah.
It said
I
no
had that.
gouging.
I guess no.
No eye gouging.
I think it's no gouging of any kind.
No, it said no eye gouging, but I
Oh,
think,
man.
but the list went actually pretty deep when I found
Biting,
it.
I assume, is off limits.
Yeah.
They did say
All
it
right.
was
Okay.
biting.
I think we should put our heads together and think of like creative new ways to win the UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship.
There's no way.
No, okay. Check this out.
It's impossible, Max.
4 hours before the fight, you down a whole bunch of beans.
Just like, good shit. Like, what's your goal? I bet
made a
that's part of-
headlock and fart on him.
Dude, I bet that there's strategies around like smelling bad. Like, I'm sure that's a thing.
They definitely fart.
There has to be. You have to just be smelling as bad as possible for
Yeah.
that fight. Like,
What's the worst thing you could think to like make yourself smell as bad as possible?
You're just
get
like,
that
Like, douse
skunk-
yourself in
just Get
gasoline?
that skunk out
Just-
there.
you're just bathing in like spoiled milk or something like that. Like something like that would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting thing to see somebody come out and just smell so bad that the whole audience is just like kind of wants to leave.
Like, how do we break these rules? Can you lather yourself in like baby oil?
I doubt
Definitely
it.
You can't grapple them.
Can you poop on them? Like, it,
Oh man,
like it,
literally just shit.
I'm pretty sure like nudity's not allowed, and I can't think of some like sort of butt flap situation that would let that.
But you
work.
can just still poop your pants.
Dude, do you think
it would smell bad for sure.
I have a question though. Do you think they would stop the fight if you shat yourself? Because like they're not stopping if you're bleeding.
No, they're definitely not stopping if you're. They're definitely not stopping the fight if you poop your pants. There's no way they're stopping that fight. They're not stopping it for you bleeding.
Do you
Bleeding
imagine?
on
I
someone.
mean, it's only if you're bleeding bad enough and it looks like it's a risk to your health that they like stop it.
It's not a risk to your health that you pooped yourself.
Right, like it seems fine.
Do you
It's-
imagine the underwear after that? After all that like fighting,
dude? The other dude's definitely getting pink eye.
Yeah,
His faces
100%.
are. I mean, you're getting close to a lot of the other dude.
Huh.
Like you're all up in there
Yeah,
all the
for sure.
time.
So what's pretty interesting, they have a grab bag rule that I think they can just like pull out. So
Pull it out.
any unsportsmanlike conduct that causes an injury to opponent.
Is pink eye an
Injury.
What do you mean?
Right? No,
injury?
it's
What?
just super vague, right? So it's like this is almost to like the ref's discretion, right? Of like that was unsportsmanlike,
Huh.
right? So I think that's where the ref
Is
holds a lot
giving
of
the
power.
other dude a concussion an injury?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
I mean,
what happens when that dude
it
try to break?
is a sport. It is a sportsman like. It is. You're being very sporting by giving him that injury to his head.
He knew he was taking that punch to the neck.
Yeah, it's just interesting that they have like a rule like that where it's like okay, like the ref
They
has
have to be able to
power.
make some kind of call.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't see anything about pooping explicitly, but I'd assume that might be unsportsmanlike.
are you allowed to jump off of the fence to kind of get like a boost move on someone? Like a
I don't think you're allowed to jump on top, but you could probably jump on the side.
You can definitely jump on top of people. Like that is
Yeah, yeah,
definitely
you
no,
can
no,
definitely
not
jump
on
on
top
top.
of them.
You
but just
cannot
like,
use the fence, I believe, to gain an advantage.
Yeah.
So you will see from time to time when they, and I could be slightly like not exactly on this, but like you basically, if they're like grappling up against the fence, like one dude can't kind of use the fence to gain position.
So you can't jump
They'll,
off.
they'll let them get away with it to a degree, but then the ref will like either call it, give them a warning, or like stand them back up in the center of the ring. So you can't just like be climbing the fence.
Well, I think that,
wrestling
like,
style jumping off.
you
like
can
The Rock.
kind of use the fence to get yourself back up and out of position more than you can use it to get people into a deeper position.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I'm assuming that they like the refs would be like, okay, well, he's at there and he's trying to get out. Like, there's not a whole lot he can do at that point.
right.
But like, if you're like using that to choke him harder, then yeah.
Yeah.
Is it an unfair advantage if like you use the anger of your uncle dying and also your radioactive spider powers?
Uh,
I don't see it explicitly saying
What
that
about-
you can't.
If you're
No-
an
no
alien
Spider-Man 1
from a
fans?
separate planet,
Okay,
and when the moon comes out, you turn into a giant monkey.
right. What
Is,
if?
is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Werewolf seems like a great situation for this.
What about a Saiyan though? Moving on.
Saying
All right.
what?
Everyone ready for ratings? And
Yeah.
Let's hit it.
Harrison, what do you got for me?
yeah. I mean, I think this is probably a middle third show for me. I mean, I think, no, it's pretty. I think it was a pretty compelling stories there. Like, I think that like the build up to the fight's pretty compelling. You know, it pays off pretty well in the fight. I don't watch a lot of fights in general, so like I just don't know about like kind of watching this sort of week over week. But like I would be interested to see sort of how they pick some of the later fights, how some of the house drama stuff kind of shapes up in the show. You know, all about that house drama.
Does this rating go up or down with more or less house drama?
This rating definitely goes up with more house drama
So like
because like
the correlation
like-
of house drama and your rating.
Yeah, I mean, because like there's already something that is innately compelling about like you're going to compete in this tournament for a shot to be in the UFC, but like when you add that layer of the house beef into the actual fighting, like that's I think it just takes it to a different place. You know,
All right. Noah, what do you got for me?
Solid middle show. It doesn't make for great pod material necessarily, but yeah, it's entertaining to watch fighters. Like this has, I'd love to see this turn into like a Monday Night Raw type thing. Like that's like overly dramatic, right? But think if you combine the drama of Monday Night Raw with like the real fighting of this, somewhere in between there, I think you have an amazing show. And that would be kind of entertaining to see instead of just these monthly pay-per-views, which is at least how I'm familiar with UFC.
James, what do you got?
I gotta agree. I think a lot with the things that Noah stated. I think that especially episode 2, and I assume what like the following episodes would be like, is you kind of get that 8 months of fight cycle crammed into an hour digestible TV show, and you kind of go start to finish. You kind of get the pre-hype, you get the fight, you get the pre-hype, you get the backstories, you get the actual fight, you get the output, and you sort of get the post-game shit talking, all kind of like wrapped into this like one little package. I I think I'm gonna put it so right in the middle of the middle. Shows it's. I think it's interesting. It's entertaining. I don't know if it's a top where I'm coming back to it every single week, but at the same time, like if it was on, I think it's pretty fun to watch with people. I think if you are someone that's into any of the fighting or anything, I think it's a little bit more interesting too, and probably get better contacts on some of the fighters and like people that are really coming up in the ranks because you will see the winners, like I said, in the end. So yeah, I think it's a solid middle, right in the middle.
I need to interject for 1 second.
Go for it.
Not allowed.
One clever thing on the pod might be is like, what show would this show pair best with? Because I was thinking, like, imagine Below Deck combined with this show.
What?
All right.
No.
We will come back to this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Please go, Max.
I don't watch fighting stuff. I never even watched WWE until Royal Rumble earlier this year. I was absolutely fascinated by the really long fight in episode 2. Still, this is going to be a middle third, bottom of the middle. I can't see myself like coming back that much. And there was a lot of filler that I didn't give a shit about, but the fight's pretty good. I would watch UFC, but now it's not really a reality show. Okay, this would pair best with.
I have to give my rating, Max, before
Chris.
we get into the next segment of whatever the hell you're trying to get to.
It would pair best with Chris.
I have to agree. I think it's middle third. I think that there are a lot of aspects that are enjoyable, and I just don't like UFC enough, I think, to put this in a top third. And I like the production value. I liked how serious everyone was. I mean, people put their lives on the line pretty much for all this. So, like, it's definitely way different than so many of these other reality shows we watch, which have like no lives are on the line. It's just silly and goofy, and people are just being assholes to be assholes. So it's like it's really cool to see people actually like with their passion and their dreams in this whole show. So can't put it on the top third, but middle third it is.
Wow, unanimous.
Wow.
It's been a bit.
And middle third show by unanimous decision. The Ultimate Fighter.
Come on, get it on.
Oh God, we got to talk about that ref. Why was this tagline?
That was it.
Come on,
That's
get
it.
it on. I mean, that is they're all is talking about.
That's
You're
so
right.
What else you
bad.
want to talk about, James?
I don't know. I just I guess he's trying to do like his own shtick, but it's
Yeah.
Is that not the
So
UFC
bad.
shtick?
no. I've never heard that.
Okay.
It's so insane.
Maybe you just
are we
don't
doing-
hear it in the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So wait, Max, which show would this pair best?
Let's
with?
hear yours first.
I
I thought I assumed
Oh,
it was below
Below
deck.
Deck.
I think
Although
that'd be
All right, I have a much better answer.
yeah.
What if you had Bully Beatdown, but they were getting beat up by like real UFC people?
Wasn't that the
Isn't that
actual
what
show?
Bully Beatdown actually was?
Oh yeah.
You should be a producer, Max.
Incredible.
Yeah. How?
Okay, Celebrity Apprentice, because then Donald Trump will get beat up by a UFC guy.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
As I was saying the Bully Beatdown, I was like, wait a second, this sounds
I
like
disapprove of this segment. Would this show be better if everyone was naked?
They're
No.
basically naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would
I
be
know, I'm just
Yeah, I know.
pissing.
be a lot sexier.
Definitely.
So I do have a question though, which is, as far as quote reality TV show goes, is this a reality TV show?
100%.
I say so. Producers set this whole thing up. It's not like it's not a documentary.
Like, it would be different if there was an MMA UFC tournament that already existed and there was like a behind the scenes documentary about the tournament. But the structure of this is very much competition reality show. I mean,
It definitely is edging a line, but I
Definitely
think it
that,
is a reality show.
Yeah, this seems like on another vector we don't really go on that much, where reality versus sport. Like this is very similar to like Sunday Night Football. As far as like the length of the backstories they do, that's the same length of the backstories they do on Sunday Night Football. And so like I see that being the different vector.
What?
But
I'm
Sunday Night
very confused
Football
though.
is not
there's
living in a house.
53 people per team on Sunday Night Football, plus the coaches. What kind of backstory are they giving you on Sunday Night Football?
They don't honestly. You don't do it for all 53 people, but like the amount of backstory they do, let's say for the top 5 players and the coaches in the game, is roughly equivalent to what we learned about these
I
players.
don't think so. There's like 30 minutes of backstory before a 15-minute fight. There's there's like 2 hours of commercials on Sunday Night Football. I don't know Peyton Manning's wife's name.
We know Tom Brady's.
Yeah, like one person, one football player. That's it.
Russell
Like,
Wilson's.
Whatever. It's just like I don't understand the statement, and you're wrong.
So the reason why this is a valid argument is in a reality TV show they're going to show drama more, where in this one it was all about the person, and I think sports is much more about the person, which I think makes this a valid argument that it's more of a sport rather than a reality show.
I think
It's a reality show about a sport.
I think when sports go into like these backstory stuff, it's also blurring the line between like documentary more than anything. And I think that like this is definitely a mix between a documentary, reality, and sport for sure. But the producers set all this up. They're setting these people up. They're out producing the content. They're not like
I mean,
they're highly involved in setting this whole thing up.
You, I think, contrast this with something like Hard Knocks on HBO, and like that is a documentary about training camp happening because training camp was gonna happen anyway,
right?
And then they just decided to show up with cameras and shoot it.
And training camp still happens for the other 32 teams or 31 teams, right?
Like it's not happening because there's a reality show about it. Like this is happening because there's a reality show about it.
Like the argument I'd say is that we usually talk about the documentary versus the reality show vector, and I think this is actually a different one, right? That we just usually don't address. And I actually think the producer argument is wrong. Even
Another can.
Because even
throw the definition out the window.
No, because even if it is a pure sport, you still have producers in that. Now that producer might be like the NFL league who is putting on this production,
setting the rules,
right? Exactly.
Whatever.
Like you have a producer of every piece of content.
Well, we could take a step back here.
I mean,
and
that's
no one here said sports wasn't a reality show.
Oh my god!
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Bring
So,
it.
Like, I like sports is so close to reality that like it's like not. Some sports are like like NFL. You know, it's a sport, but if as soon as you start bringing in a bunch of backstory and adding like documentary style and like week to week, there's a lot of drama. If you start like filming more of that and showing more of that, then like it's definitely you can blur those lines very easily.
for sure.
Like when you're watching UFC and you're like the first hour of this 4-hour event is everyone's backstory. You definitely blurring the line between reality show, documentary, and sport for sure.
Dude, Le'Veon Bell still hasn't showed up for the league. Like it's like week 5, man. It's like screw it. Like there's definitely a lot of backstories, but like if they showed more, like I mean,
It's just like
so then the question is like ESPN just a whole reality show?
It definitely
It's a
is,
slippery
Yeah.
slope.
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Sure.
It's reality that it's real, but like reality
for,
shows is
for our
weird.
purposes, the producers set up this tournament and set out to film this thing
Right.
versus, you know, this whole sport organization is just having their season. They're having their like next pay-per-view. It's just like,
Guys, I'm gonna blow your mind here.
Is life a reality show?
Sports Center is like the podcast in the podcast panel in the reality show.
oh, man.
They
yeah.
have actual podcasts as well.
And
Like
I was actually thinking a very similar thing. Life is the house in Terrace House. In ESPN, it's just, they're just, they're just comment, like we just don't realize. Like,
Life is the house.
yeah, we just
Really makes you think.
All right, guys. Speaking of competition reality shows,
Oh baby,
how about that challenge? We haven't had a challenge update in a long
we
time.
really haven't. There's been
is
some
it possible to get a non-spoils update?
It is. I mean, it is possible, but I don't like that option.
Man, I'm 2 episodes
I'm
back.
caught
You're
up.
2 back.
Oh man, then we.
Okay, well, we definitely can't do it if he's 2 back. But there's some crazy shit that's been happening the last couple episodes in that show.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting down to it. There's only like
They're
5.
kind of getting down to it.
There's 5 teams left or something.
6.
And then the Redemption House.
Fuck the Redemption House.
Chris loves the Redemption.
Oh
House.
yeah,
Just kick them off the show. Just fucking get them off.
they're trying to.
Yeah, just don't fucking have it. Just let
Yeah.
them leave.
Well, you need to catch up on the show so we can talk about it next week.
Yes, we'll do.
Because there's some things to discuss here.
Yeah, there's definitely some like not this week's episode, but last week's episode was really good.
I think they were both. Like there have been a couple in a row here.
I'm
that
not
have been
saying this
pretty
week's was
wild.
bad, but I like last week's was better.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
That's the one I need to watch. So I'm like on pins and needles.
You need to watch both of them.
Well, yeah, but you guys are saying the last one was better, so I want to watch that one.
Yeah, well, you want to watch both. Let's
I
be
mean, I'm
honest. Are you how caught up on
Well, I'm
our
definitely
favorite shore
further-
are we?
I'm definitely further behind, but also wondering that like, so the PCB is getting hit with a Cat 4 hurricane right now.
Yeah, well, they're not
And-
there.
I don't know, but I think it might be setting up for like the ultimate season 3, which is like they have to return to this demolished house in Florida and like figure out what to do about
Who
it.
knows? Maybe they get to go to like Italy, like the
Is the Weather Channel a reality TV show?
I would definitely like to see a reality show about them rebuilding the PCB and not just saying fucking and going to Italy.
I mean, that's what the Jersey Shore did. They were a Jersey Shore for a season, then went to Miami, then
Yeah.
they went like ended up in Italy. So it's like I mean, it's not weird, but the 2 seasons they've been in the same house.
I mean, I do think I would like to see the Floribama Shore crew rolling around Europe or something. I think that'd just be great.
It is.
Oh man, that would be they'd be like, how do you say it is whatever?
Oh yeah, it'd be great. It'd be a great show.
So like this is a weird thing. So like when you watch Jersey Shore, it's a lot of like all 5 or 6 of them mostly tearing each other down and acting like complete assholes. And like there's definitely moments in Floribama Shore where that kind of happens. But there's also a lot of moments of people building themselves up and like getting emotional and opening themselves up to people, and like that just didn't happen like in the most recent seasons of Jersey Shore have kind of been that way. Definitely more focused on like their lives and feelings and stuff, but like the old stuff was just more about like how much of an asshole can the situation be. So it's like it's interesting to see that kind of dynamic change.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's like it's been interesting to see that show grow, I think.
Yeah.
And like it only gets better the more like you understand these characters and people in their like backstories and all the craziness. I do really wonder that, like, not saying it's true or false. I just do wonder about like, are some of these people's situations a little bit more enhanced or like sort of producer stoked, right? Like, are some of the boyfriends
I
or
mean,
some of the
it's
girlfriends,
definitely
etc.
happening.
Right? Like, are they acting crazier to get on TV and like do stuff? And like one has to believe so, or at least like I'm not saying like it's all fake. Like it feels like these people are real people, but I just have to think that like it's a little bit more enhanced, or people are magnifying it a bit.
Yeah, obvious. I mean, pregnancy scare for sure, 100% like overblown.
Yep.
This Gator
Well, and even her
J.
boyfriend like acting like so pretty insane. Like I have to imagine maybe he's like that to a degree, but like I'm sure it's getting blown up.
I don't know.
Maybe not. I
Possibly.
don't know.
He spoilers. He comes back. So
Yeah.
I'm just surprised y'all been talking about Jersey Shore and haven't mentioned that the situation is actually going to jail.
Yeah, for like 8 months, something like that.
Yeah.
yeah, 4 months with good behavior.
It was
I
all
feel
a
like
tax thing, right? Like he like
Yeah.
some
He
kind of
didn't pay
tax
it-
fraud.
he didn't pay
but
his
like it's
taxes.
some insane amount of tax. Like the numbers don't add up
No, it's like $10 million or some shit.
on like property tax. So like, what the hell property does he own?
Or maybe that was
Did he
the
own?
total property, but still, yeah, I don't know.
No, I think the numbers don't make sense because like I looked it up, and it was like no, he owes like 10 million of property. Like I don't know what the actual number is, but it's like
Yeah.
it's a big number, and it's big enough because like it's only a certain percent, and it's like he'd have to own like $100 million house or some shit to owe that much money.
Well,
Well,
or
it's
is-
not
or-
1 year. It's over years.
Yeah, I mean, 1, it's over multiple years. 2, it's probably multiple properties. 3, he doesn't have to own them all outright. They could all be mortgaged, and he still has to pay the taxes on it. I mean, like,
I'm
it's
just saying like the
you
numbers
know.
didn't make sense to me, and I'm just wondering like what the hell is this guy being like? What has he bought? I don't know. Anyways, I don't know the details. So it's nothing to talk about, but like it just blew my mind when I looked at it.
I was
If somebody could explain that, that would be great.
I
Tweet
believe
at
that's how
us.
money laundering works. The numbers don't add up.
The numbers don't add up. That's why he's going to jail. But there you go.
I mean,
Situation.
bad money laundering. You're good at it. Hey.
There you
Should
go.
add up.
Depends what the numbers you
know
have.
if you're good at it.
Depends if you have the numbers of how much cash you got from one thing to the next. I mean, like,
You guys are now explaining how to
Yeah, that's
launder
fine.
money.
I mean, tax fraud is very different than.
so you
laundering
make
money.
it seem like something costs a lot more than it does.
Y'all gotta watch Ozark.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to watch a new season. I haven't started yet.
Yeah, a lot of people telling me about Ozark. A lot of.
It's
I
about
gotta
money
get-
laundering.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's also fall. A lot of TV shows coming out right now.
Coming in hot. The Good Place.
Good
So
Place.
Back on that TV.
So good.
New season, I'm really into it. I've watched both episodes now, which is why I'm behind on Challenge. But man, is it so good!
It's
a good
great.
trade off.
I like the twist. I like to see where it's going.
Yeah,
I'm not super excited about like how the current episodes have gone, but like,
really, man. I thought they've been incredibly like just well written and like.
I mean, it's
very spot on.
very good. But if I'm comparing it against like them being in this fake good place or like season 2 when it's just like more fantasy, like
you're spoiling the show.
more fantasy, like
I've
them being
watched
in the
it,
good
but
place. Is that fantasy? Like
Um,
it's just different than them being like this season they're on Earth or they're like not.
yeah.
So like
I do like Mike O'Malley, former host of
Oh,
Nickelodeon
yeah.
Guts, is the doorman. Like it's like excellent,
The
excellent
doorman was
Mike
great.
O'Malley.
I know. It was so great seeing him. This whole season seems like it's going to be very strong character development rather than like the long story arc, right? And then I think we get back into like the mega story arcs in like season 4, season 5. Is my hunch.
I just don't know how long you can stretch this premise out to. So
Really?
Yeah.
I think yeah. I mean, the basic premise of it is good and evil. Like that's
yeah, but it's about these specific people and if they're good or evil. So it's like at some point you can't just keep like dragging it out. I just want it to end. Like I want a good beginning, middle, and end. I don't want 15 seasons of the show.
You don't want some kind of Lost where it just
Like
you're
I
what
just
the hell's
want
going
I want a
on anymore?
well written beginning, middle, and end. I don't want a season 7. I want like you're already stretching it at a season 5. Like season 5 should definitely be maximum.
interesting. Yeah, I actually think there's a lot more depth. Like, I think the characters they're setting up for them to be pretty complex, and so then you take each emotion, right, and then it's like a good side and a bad side, and I think you can actually stretch it out.
I just
pretty
don't
far.
want them to do that.
Oh, sure, yeah. I
I
can see
mean,
that.
I mean, you can stretch the show out until I get bored of it, but that doesn't make the
Right.
show good for me.
right. I can see that.
Like
And-
I want the Breaking Bad, where like it's a good beginning, middle, and end, and it was pretty much from great,
To
like
great.
amazing to like good the whole way through.
Breaking Bad is like the best show ever.
Yeah,
That's a
no,
high
but
bar.
like one of the reasons why it's the best show ever is because it had a good beginning, middle, and end, and didn't just like become the Big Bang Theory and like have like 80,000 seasons.
on 80,000, season 22 of South Park started.
Oh, geez.
And it's still going. I watched it. I still enjoy watching it. It shocks me. I've been watching it all this time. It
Have you
keeps
seen
hitting.
every episode?
I don't think I've seen every episode. I definitely dipped out.
Okay.
But probably the past 5 seasons or so, I've like kept on.
Yeah.
They tackle school shooting. And
It's just that,
Oh,
yeah. It's just like that production process that they have just makes it so
you
that they can just
yeah.
do current events all the time. Like they do what happened last week. It's nuts.
Do they still do that?
I don't know
so.
if they do it every week, but I mean, like I think
less
that
frequently.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like that chaotic start
Yeah.
on Friday or
Like
something.
I'm sure that I've talked about that documentary in this pod before, but there's a documentary called 7 Days to Air that's about how they make South Park every week, and it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, no,
Like-
that's fine. Yeah,
Was
for
that
Yeah.
about the Terry Schiavo episode?
It was about the iPad episode, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure though.
Yeah. Also, another one that's still going is New Simpsons.
Ooh.
Oh,
I've
wow.
been dipping into that. It's actually it's been okay.
It's a
I don't know if
season-
it's holding up as like a South Park kind of level, but like I'd say like I popped it on as like a like kind of fun show to end the night. Kind of like you don't want anything too serious. Kind of just lighthearted. And they've been all right. I have definitely dipped out for a good period. And like, Simpsons has gone on several waves of both good and pretty like whoa questionable kind of seasons. But yeah, I don't know. So far, it seems okay. I can't believe it's still going. To be honest, like how long is it going to go for?
Yeah, whenever I put on The Simpsons, I always enjoy it. Even when people were like taking shits on it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I still kind of liked it.
Yeah, it's,
Like,
like,
I
it's kind of fine. Like,
I don't know the big story arcs that are happening, but like episode it's like okay.
mhm.
It's
I'm
enjoyable.
reasonably sure there's never been a big story arc besides Who Shot Mr. Burns.
That was so good,
Mm-hmm.
man. That was so good.
Yeah, you know what's not good? Current Simpsons. Bam.
Oh.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've tried. Who was the guest star this week?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you not know?
No, I have no fucking idea. But they started doing this thing. And
All
like,
right. We don't need to.
Back-
we don't need to-
Back when Max was a kid, everything was better.
Eat my shorts.
All right.
Back in
That's- I
Max's
think that's
day.
it for us this week. We can go on for a little bit. We get more into fall TV. Send us what your favorites are, like the season, new shows.
Give us weird, ridiculous shit.
At realdonaldtrump.com.
No. Yes.
You can find us on Twitter at Who Put This On. You can find us on Facebook.com/Who Put This On. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. Please rate us on iTunes. It really helps. And we'll see you guys next time.